Hello, and welcome to the Hidden Gems Show. I'm your host, Safir Jamal, and this is the show where we interview local business owners from all around the world. And I'm super excited because today we're here with my friend Lorenzo, who's joining us from Fukuoka, Japan. Hey, Lorenzo.
Hey, what's up?
How you doing?
Good, pretty good.
Awesome, awesome. So tell us, you are in Fukuoka, Japan, right?
That's right.
Awesome.
That's
And I
right.
know I was actually at your shop just last week, and you introduced me to this concept of supplì, which I hadn't really heard of before. Certainly, it isn't a Japanese dish. So why don't you tell us what is your business and how did you come around to it?
Sure. So my business is basically a wine bar, and we're specialized in being from Rome. We're specialized in something very Roman, which is called supplì. If you have any friend from Rome and you ask, "Oh, do you know supplì?" They would tell you, "Of course, everybody in Rome loves it, but for some reason, it's not very well known outside of Rome." And so, what I'm doing here in Fukuoka, Japan, I'm using the Japanese rice, which is perfect to make supplì. I'm using it with mixing it with Italian cheese or Italian tomato and mozzarella cheese to make a combination of the something that Japanese people are very proud of, their rice, which is very, very good, and Italian cheese. And it mixes super well with wine. So, like a lot of times, people in Rome, they have a aperitivo, like the Italian happy hour,
Yep.
with supplì and wine, or supplì and Aperol spritz, you know. So it matches perfectly, and that's what uh, my business is based on, basically.
Amazing. So it's called Moshi Moshi Supplì, right? It's the name of the
Mo-
business. And so
Correct. Moshi Moshi Supplì.
So the way you're describing it, I mean, I can tell you, like you made me try it. It's delicious. I'm familiar with arancini, and I know a lot of people might be familiar with arancini. A lot of people are also familiar with just the consistency of rice and cheese coming together, much more of like a risotto. So how is supplì different?
So arancino and supplì, they're very similar, and basically the biggest difference is probably the different recipes of all the different regions.
Mhm.
Because in Italy we have different recipes depending on the region. So,
Right.
for example, cacio e pepe is a Roman recipe. So you will find a supplì made in cacio e pepe with a cacio e pepe recipe,
Yeah.
and not an arancino. So it's being very local dish. It absorbs the local culture, the local culinary culture. So you will find a lot of also carbonara suppli. You will find it in Rome. You find a lot of Roman recipes in Rome made of suppli. And also the word suppli itself, it comes from the legend says that during the like some French occupation of Rome, the
Mhm.
French soldiers said were surprised to find mozzarella cheese inside the suppli, and they said, "Oh, suppli, surprise!" And the name suppli comes from there. So
Okay.
the basically suppli always has the mozzarella cheese inside as a surprise, and that's not true with the arancino or arancina. Some people call it differently.
Yeah.
And sometimes it has mozzarella cheese, sometimes it has ragu sauce. So it's a little bit different. Also, shapes are different, but they're let's say they're cousins or something.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. I mean, like I said, it was delicious. I had the cacio e pepe one that you made me try when I came to Moshi Moshi Supplì, and it was truly, truly amazing. So
Thank you.
really,
Happy to
really
hear that.
cool. Now, this all makes a lot of sense if your business was based in Rome, but it's not. It's based in Fukuoka. So I got to ask you, why open an Italian-themed wine bar in Fukuoka? And what brought you to Japan? Maybe why don't we start there?
So let's start. Yeah, what brought me to Japan is basically the pop culture, Japanese pop culture. So since I was a child, I was reading Japanese manga. So I started as a child with Dragon Ball, and growing up, I a little bit lost touch with that side of me. But I always read a little bit. But instead of having a normal life, I thought after graduation from university, I thought I still wanted to pursue some higher education,
Right.
but with something that I was interested in and in a completely different environment that would challenge me. And at that point, that connection with Japan came up again. And so I decided to move to Japan, which is a completely different country from Italy, completely different uses, you know.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I chose Japan at the time, and that brought me to Fukuoka, which for a number of reasons I chose Fukuoka 11 years ago rather than Tokyo. And why did I start this business? Basically, I wanted to use. Actually, it's a business that I run with my wife,
Ah,
and so I wanted to use 100% of my skills that I accumulated during the my 30 plus years. Um, so I wanted to make use of everything I know. So Japanese, I did Japanese school. So why not use Japanese? Why should I settle down with a job in Italy without using any Japanese? So I decided to challenge myself with a business that, with a business you either succeed or you fail miserably.
or, uh,
So you have to use your brain all the time. So it's really challenging. It's very fun, and it makes you I also worked in sales in the past, and I always noticed that people with their own business, they had something like an extra gear. They had you could feel they are active. They're often they used to use their brain.
mhm.
So I really like that part of the business itself as well.
Got it. Got it. Okay. And so you mentioned you've been living in Japan now for 11 years.
First time I came here, yeah, 11 years ago, but
Yeah.
I went back to Italy and I moved definitely 6 years ago.
Okay.
So I've been living here 6 years, and I started my wine bar with my wife, my international bar, like 1 year ago.
1 year ago. Okay. And
Yeah.
Lorenzo, how's your Japanese?
My Japanese, madamada desu. Still, that's the standard answer that you keep answering as a foreigner until you die, probably, because there's always something you need to learn about it.
Or,
So yeah,
but I
yeah.
mean, you've studied the language, you're able to speak, read, write everything very comfortably after living there for as long as you
Not
are.
at all, not at all, not at all.
Okay.
So I did study the language 1 year and a half,
Okay.
and being kind of, I would say, a mix of extrovert introvert, but yeah, I can be extrovert, especially with nomi hodai. It's the Japanese all you can drink sake, the alcohol. I could speak a lot with a lot of people, and
Yeah.
it's very fun, especially in Fukuoka. There is the yatai culture of full stalls,
Yeah.
and people talk to you like it's kind of a cute environment, friendly environment. And so I could train on directly here in Fukuoka, at
Mhm.
school in the morning and yatai in the evening, talking to people.
Wow.
And my speaking is quite good. Also, thanks to my job experiences in the past 6 years, I
Right.
improved a lot. But the reading and the writing as a let's say Westerner that started learning Japanese when I was 26, 27 years old,
Right.
it's very hard. So maybe I didn't focus that much on that because I'm okay with just talking. But some things that people do not understand with the Chinese characters, with the kanji,
Of course. Yeah.
is that there is a big difference between being able to speak, or it's not consequential. You can speak, so you can read. No, no, not at all.
It's two
It's
different.
not like in many other languages.
Right. I mean, I still think it's super impressive the fact that you've even got to the level of Japanese that you are in now, where you're comfortable enough even speaking. I mean, there's a lot of foreigners who've lived in Japan for much longer than you and actually don't have the same level of comfort with the language. So, it's a really
Yeah,
admirable thing that you've done.
thank you. I think one of my again, because of challenging yourself, one of the things that maybe helped me for the better or worse is that I'm not native English speaker, so I never really worked as an English teacher. A lot of native English speakers, they settle down a little bit. It's easy to find a job as a teacher, right? As
Right.
an English teacher. So, and 90% of the job market, at least in Fukuoka, maybe Tokyo is a little bit different.
Right.
Uh, at least 11 years ago, it was mostly teaching English. So, not being a native, it forced me to try different route, different path. You know, I found very interesting path, so I'm happy with that.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
I gotta ask, I mean, I think your business is super interesting. I love the creativity. I love the uniqueness. I love that you've brought a lot of your own passion and your own identity from Rome, and you've brought it to your new home in Japan, and you're sharing that culture with the Japanese people. what do the Japanese people think of this? Are they embracing this? Is it a new concept? Do you get a lot of foreigners versus a lot of locals? I mean, tell me a little bit about your customers.
They're confused. So because they're like,
Understandably.
what are you doing to our rice? So basically, they don't know, they don't know the product,
Yeah.
and so after they try it, they love it.
Okay.
But first, you have to you need to have good marketing, so just to get them to try it, right?
Right.
And once they try, you're like, okay, so this guy, this Roman guy, is not fooling around, is not making fun of us. It actually has a very good product that we didn't know about it.
Yeah.
So for some reason, they like just depending on the way you cook it, right? The
Mm.
rice can be so different. So and yeah, so the once they try it, they love it. So now it's I'm pushing a lot with the marketing, with making reels on Instagram, whatever,
Hey.
and try to get cool people like spreading the word and with cool communities such as yours, so that people can actually understand that
Yeah.
the value behind it and enjoy the conviviality that it can create because it's something unique and it's good. It matches with wine, so we all get a little bit tipsy. Perfect.
Always a good thing. One thing that I actually thought was really interesting when I visited Moshi Moshi Supplì is that you don't have any seating. It is a stand-up experience. Maybe tell us a little bit more about why you designed it that way.
So yeah, basically the place is very very small,
Mhm.
and that's not something that Roman people are not used because also in Rome there are a lot of small shops. So basically there is kind of a tapas culture in Spain, right? So
Mhm.
you stand at the counter and you eat with your friends and drink.
Right.
And here in Fukuoka in Japan in general, they also have that. They had it in the past, and it kind of faded out of it was not so common anymore, but in the past years it has become common again. Maybe
Okay.
also thanks to the influences from Spanish
Mhm.
restaurants,
Right.
so because of that, you started seeing a lot more standing bars. So basically, you stand, you eat, you drink, and so I just let's say took advantage of that to propose, since I have a very small place, to
Right.
create an environment where you can stand and drink and enjoy like that. Yeah.
I mean, I will say, like, I thought it was super unique because we were right up at the counter. We were eating the supli with our hands. There's a drink in hand. You're right behind the counter, so there's a really nice, intimate opportunity for us to have nice conversations. You're chatting with your friends. The design of the atmosphere is really nice. It's a really cool and very unique dining experience, actually. So I really enjoyed that. I wish that more people were able to come in and experience that because it was really different.
Thank you very much. Thank you, and I'm very glad to hear that. And I hope as well that with the Global Nomad Pass sticker and the community, I hope a lot of people with a lot of different experiences, a lot of topics to talk about will come. And
Awesome.
my wife and I, we're trying to create as much as possible a diverse environment where people will from a lot of different places, and within the Japanese community itself there is a lot of diversity that people are not aware of probably abroad, but even within the Japanese customers themselves. So
Yeah.
we're trying to attract a lot of people, and because we do firmly believe that having people from different backgrounds talking, it can create a lot of interesting discussions, this interesting conversations, and maybe find solutions to problems, and
I mean,
maybe find business, especially people that work on the go, such as people in your community. They can find interesting how to say, stimulus,
yeah.
and maybe find business partners, maybe partners for life, or maybe both, so that's the kind of environment, a friendly environment, that we're trying to create with interesting people.
I love that. I think the energy to create cross-cultural connections is something that all of us travelers love, right? And I mean, that's why we travel because we're curious and we have this intellectual need for meeting people of different backgrounds and who have different experiences, but who can engage in that dialogue with us, and we really love it. So I think you're definitely onto something really great here, Lorenzo. Tell me, what do you think about Fukuoka and particularly the international community that has grown over Fukuoka? Because you've been there for a number of years. So how have you seen the international community in the city develop?
So yeah, it's actually the 11 years ago. The one of the reasons I chose Fukuoka over Tokyo was that there were not many foreigners
Mhm.
in my thinking, and that was actually true.
Mhm.
So I had a lot of opportunities to hang out also with Japanese people because I already thought that if I went to Tokyo, I would have hang out with only American people and Italian people, and
Right.
so I wanted to experience more like local culture.
Mhm.
And I did hang out with American and Italian as well, but I also had a lot of Japanese friends, and my wife is actually Japanese now,
Nice.
so I could get in touch with for sure with the local people.
Mhm.
And where were we? What was the question?
The international community in Fukuoka
Ah,
has.
yeah, yeah. So, and in these 11 years, I'm surprised that besides like not only digital nomads,
Mhm.
but also like a lot of engineers, software engineers. Uh, Japan is opening up. It was opening up quite a bit before Corona. Then it closed completely, almost completely.
Wow.
But then again, now it's opening up because I think between countries there is a kind of a war, kind of like, let's say, war. And
Right?
I'm not happy to use this word right now, but there is like a competition, a strong competition to acquire talents, right? Right.
Definitely.
So how do you acquire talents? You have to make an environment that people are not stupid, so they realize if the environment is accepts them
Yep.
and makes them feel comfortable and welcome. So Japan is doing a lot of is improving so much,
For sure.
and yeah, it's a very amazing country, and they learn fast. They're traditional, yeah, but they're learning fast, and they're doing a lot of good things. So a lot of new people are coming, especially here in Fukuoka. It's kind of it's been uncontaminated city for for a
Hmm.
long time, but now it's becoming a global force
Yep.
here in Japan and Asia. They say that it's the bridge from Japan to the rest of Asian countries.
Interesting.
So it's becoming very dynamic. A lot of investments, very interesting.
Wow. No, it's, I mean, even just the time that I spent there, and I know we had the Kole Fukuoka event there, so we had, hundreds of different digital nomads and people from all over who would come to Fukuoka, many of us for the first time, and a lot of us were really, really amazed. Exactly what you said. There's just a vibrancy, there's an energy in the city. Really, really nice people. I think in general, all over Japan, I've always loved the warmth of the culture and how welcoming everybody is. But for me, the one thing that stood out is that there's a lot of patience for foreigners, particularly because a lot of foreigners don't speak Japanese, so there's usually a language barrier. English isn't commonly spoken, but whether we're using Google Translate on the apps and kind of passing the phone back and forth on the recordings, like generally speaking, there's a lot of patience to dealing with foreigners, which you don't actually get in a lot of other parts of the world that we've traveled to. So definitely think that there's a lot of bright horizons ahead for Fukuoka as the growth continues to develop there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I
Awesome.
agree.
Great. Well, Lorenzo, it's been a wonderful time chatting with you. I really enjoyed my time visiting Moshi Moshi Supplì. Definitely, if you're in Fukuoka at some point, go check it out. It's called Moshi Moshi Supplì. You can find it on Google Maps. And when you go, definitely make sure that you look for our friend Lorenzo over here. He's going to make sure to give you the proper experience of how to eat supplì. And yeah, Lorenzo, definitely looking forward to seeing how your business grows and all the best to you.
Thank you so much, Safir, for having me here. And hopefully I'll see everybody in Fukuoka.
Sounds great. Thank you. Arigato.
Thank you. Ciao.